What's a company secret you can share now because you don't work there anymore? Spectrum call centers use Fios for internet access. Their own service couldn't handle the demand. I worked for a poker site. We had staff members who were experienced poker players playing cash games to win money from our players. Yes, they could also see what the other players had and what cards were coming on flop, turn and river. I worked in security, so knew all about this, but was basically told I'd get sacked and get a heavy beating if it ever got out. Those employees at Claire's that pierce your ears? They can literally just be 15/16-year-old kids with no work experience, literally on their first day at their very first job, told to go out and start piercing ears. Just pretend you've done this before. I was one of those kids. In the early 2000s, the big animation studios in the USA all colluded to informally stop hiring anyone currently working in the other studios within the agreement. This had a huge impact on wage growth for animation artists who couldn't move within the industry. 10 years later, a class action lawsuit had them all sued and settling for well over $150 million to the workers who experienced this sort of wage theft. Yes, House of Mouse, Shrek, all the big names were doing it. Number 35 on any phone at Lowe's will get you access to the store paging/intercom system. I worked at a casino that had the vault separated from the parking lot by an uninsulated, non-load-bearing, empty wall with sheetrock on one side and a stucco surface on the outside. On any given day the vault contains several million in small bills, but I've seen that room with a mid-8-figure sum after a big weekend. They've changed the layout now, but for a while there the only protections that room had were cameras and obscurity. I used to work for a medical software company. One of the divisions, not mine, was using live patient data as their test data. They did nothing to anonymize it. They also did not have any of their test systems encrypted. Their office was broken into and most of the computers stolen along with all the unencrypted patient data. The company didn't want to deal with the HIPAA violation fine, so they lied about what was stolen on the police report and lied about the data they were using. The prepared foods at Whole Foods are straight out of an industrial-sized Cisco container. I used to work at a rock radio station. If they were giving away a nice prize to the 10th caller and wanted that winner on the air, we would pick the first caller that was super excited even if it was before or after the 10th caller. If it was a smaller prize where we didn't want to put the winner on the air, we would pick the actual 10th caller. Customers pay a premium because the iron used for a company I work for was made in America. It is made in America after they peel off the Made in India sticker. I worked for a sleep diagnostic company during both SARS and the swine flu outbreaks of the mid-2000s. Not a lab, but a company who made the hardware and software that was installed in sleep labs and hospitals all across North America. Hospital sleep labs were almost always in the respiratory care wing. We had a team of technicians whose job it was to travel to hospitals and install the equipment. During SARS, Toronto was locked down and air travel in/out was almost completely banned. We had a tech who lived in downtown Toronto. Instead of recognizing the seriousness of the situation, the company had this guy drive to another city, usually Ottawa, and fly out of there to bypass the flying ban. Just before swine flu really hit the news, something swept through our office. People were really fucking sick. Our traveling technicians were all forced out onto planes and into respiratory care wings of hospitals across the continent. Anyone who complained was told to shut up and do their jobs. Swine flu made several rounds through the office, and these guys were always traveling while sick. So yeah, my company helped spread 2 nasty viruses directly to hospital departments loaded with people who were by definition very vulnerable to the effects of said viruses. Not really a secret. You know those conventions where you put your card in a jar for a random prize? I was walking by the sales office after and they were taking them out one by one, discussing who's the most important, and deciding who the winner should be. Edit, fixed a your mistake, I know, unforgivable. That we cleaned the whole store down during COVID every night. You know we didn't, I'm just confirming we didn't. Noxema skin cream gets its crunchy feel by refrigerating the jars just after they're labeled. The essential oils in the cream set up a crystalline structure when refrigerated. If you dump grandma's ashes in a ride at an amusement park, grandma is going to end up in a vacuum cleaner bag in the trash. If you dump her ashes outside, they will be swept up and trashed or hosed down into the sanitary sewer drain. Grandma is definitely not spending eternity in the haunted mansion. The plant is over 10 years without a lost time accident. That's because if someone gets hurt bad enough to miss work, they're suddenly e-training. Either at a desk in the office or, more often, working from home. Plant line workers working from home, yeah right. I've seen dudes drugged out of their gourds, with bandages and drainage tubes asleep at a PC doing e-training. The company wins safety awards from the state every year. At Comcast, if you ever were unable to pay bills, we would set payment plans. You would need to do a minimum payment, but it'd keep your service on, and the minimum could be paid later. If you were nice, we could also waive up to $100. You need a rep with knowledge to waive the previous balance versus coming balance, or it could get applied to the next billing cycle. If you fell really far behind, collections external, you could set up a payment plan and get your bills reduced by up to 70%. We also see every porno you rent and how long you've watched it, what room, and how many times you turn it on/off. The AI feature we advertised? Just a team of interns doing it manually. When staying in a Vegas resort in the summer your room's AC isn't broken, it's cheaper to comp the people who complain than it is to run the chillers to where the system will get the rooms below 75. When we told you we were changing out your water cooler to upgrade it, we were really just trying to get it back from you before it caught fire. If you have Kohl's Cash and it's going to expire before you use it, buy something random with it, then return it. You'll get the Kohl's Cash refunded and it'll last for 30 days. They used to accept expired vouchers 7 days after, but that's going away this summer. Abrisina. The milkshakes you get at Steak and Shake are not made from ice cream. They get a special container called Shake Base that tastes terrible but basically thickens up the milk that they blend in. They have ice cream for Sundays, they just don't use it in the shakes because it's too expensive. If you watch the commercials, they promote hand-dipped milkshakes, but they never say what they are hand-dipping. Abrisina. Every single one of you has eaten food that was well out of its proper temperature range for an extended period of time at some point in the supply chain. Private equity groups own a large chunk of vet clinics, but when they buy out your local vet clinic they keep the same name so you don't think it's corporate. They then jack up prices based on the average area income while bullying distribution for lower prices, thus increasing their margins sometimes up to 400%. If you don't mind driving, try to find more rural clinics in lower income areas for better vet prices. If they do livestock, it's less likely they are corporate, although this is starting to change. We knew the Chargers got hot, we knew they could cause a fire, but they rushed them to market to beat the other guys. Never worked there, but a friend of mine did forever as a general manager and got let go, so he tells everyone he can. The secret to Mellow Mushroom's pizza crust is molasses. More than half the volume of iced drinks in Starbucks are ice. I know everyone knows at this point, but I thought I should hammer it home.